Hi, this is Ron in West Texas Tesla, and I haven't made a video in a while, so I thought I'd make a quick one here. I am actually driving for Uber, and so right now I'm waiting for an Uber call, so if I get a call in the middle of this, then I'll disappear. It's been an interesting experience, but what I wanted to write about actually was some service I had done on my Tesla. Now, I haven't had it that long, but it has never had its annual service, any of its services. And it turns out, because I got it at 35,000 miles, that you're actually supposed to have one at like 15 and one at 25. So I hadn't had the 25 one either. I'm kind of getting the impression at this point, and I'll explain why in a minute, that the previous owner drove it hard and didn't take care of it because it never had its service. And I knew that, and we'd actually negotiated into the price for me to go get the annual service done. And when he gave me the car, he said, you know, the whine in the motor seems louder than it used to be. And I was like, oh, okay. But I had never really been in one long enough to listen for anything. And so I thought having a whine was a normal thing. Turns out the whine that I had was not normal. So I went, it takes you a while, it took a while to get the title and then get the title switched over to Texas. And then once you do that, you can get Tesla to switch over ownership. All of these things have to be done before Tesla will work on your car. If you don't have the title, then they're not going to work on it because technically it's not your car. And then they don't want to really work on it until they've made the switch, so that my Tesla account has this car in it. But right after, so I got the registration done, got the plates, and then I was ready to have the service done. So I contacted the service place and told them to switch me over. And then my main screen, what they call the MCU, the main screen one day just went black and did not come back. And I was like, crap. Here's my brand new car and it doesn't work. Now, the main screen going black doesn't mean the car doesn't work. It doesn't mean you can't drive the car. In fact, you can do both of those things, and I did do both of those things. When it went out, we were house hunting and we were looking at a house, and it went out right before we went into a house, and then I tried resetting it and that didn't work. It just went black and I couldn't do it. So I drove it home. That was fine because your front screen, your dash screen still works fine. Although some of the things that pop up in your dash screen won't work because they're actually just displays for stuff that the MCU is doing. Like your trips, even your energy consumption, that's all kind of done through the MCU. But the basic driving functionality, that's all there. Though autopilot doesn't work, auto steer doesn't work, and I don't believe that cruise control works. So anyway, I called them up, I said, my middle screen doesn't work. They said, well, can you reset it? So we did the reset, and that didn't make any difference. And they connected to the car, and they're like, yeah, we can't see the screen working. We will have someone contact you. So the next morning, I got a contact from a ranger. Now, rangers are like Tesla mechanics that come to you. And this one called me, said they're really backed up at the service center on services, so I'm helping him take out the backlog. And he said, how technical are you feeling this morning? And I said, well, I consider myself a pretty technical guy. I'm a computer programmer, so I consider myself technical. And he goes, okay, well, we need to pull a fuse. So went and found the fuse. There's a fuse box in the front trunk up underneath the plastic at the top there, and pulled the fuse out for the MCU, waited 5 minutes. He called me back, we put the fuse back in, still no MCU. And he's like, okay, well, you need to bring it in. So this was on a Wednesday. And on Thursday, I drove the car from Abilene to the service center in Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, things were starting to get kind of worse. So Wednesday night, which is actually, I think before I talked to the ranger, I had range charged the car, just in case. Well, Thursday, I start driving into Dallas, and it's a long way. It's pushing the limits of how far the Tesla will go to get all the way to Farmers Branch from Abilene. So I stopped at the new Fort Worth gallery and plugged the car in, thinking I can plug the car in for 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and get 30 some miles on. That'll get me enough, make sure that I can get to the service center. So we went, we had lunch, I came back. the car is not charged any. It's like charged like 2 miles in like an hour. And that's not right. So I'm like, crap, man, everything is deteriorating. Now the car is not charging too. So we drive the car to the service center, make it there just barely. I think I had like 10 miles to go. And they say, well, okay, well, we'll look at it. What else do you want to do? I said, well, let's do the annual service if we can while we're here. I know you guys are backed up, but maybe you can fit me in. And they said, okay, we'll try to do that. I said, the car whines, and I don't know if that's normal or not. And I'm standing out there with Chet, my service rep, who was awesome, just totally awesome. Went above and beyond to get my car fixed. And this other guy comes out, gets in his car and drives away. And I'm like, my car does not sound like that. That car is like a ninja. It has no noise whatsoever. Just the roar, the roll of the tires on the concrete. That's all the sound it made. And mine made a whine all the time. He said, well, we'll check it. It may take us a while because we can't necessarily replace every motor. We'd have to replace the whole motor, and we have kind of a limited number of those, so we may have to order you one or something. And the performance motors are a little easier to come by than the non-performance motors. But we'll look into it and see if it needs to be replaced. That might not be fixable today, but we'll fix your MCU. We'll get your annual service done. You don't want to get the tires aligned. And I'm like, yeah. And also, when you punched it in this car, it got kind of squirrely on the back end. And I told him about that, and he says, well, that sounds like the rear, they call it torquing the rear end. The tires are out of a different kind of alignment. He said, but we'd handle that inside the alignment. So they gave me a loaner car, which they were backed up, so they didn't have any Tesla loaners, and so I had to get a loaner car from a rental company, which kind of sucked. And then we were staying in Dallas, so we arrived on a Friday at 3, and we were going to be leaving on Sunday. And gave my car to him at Friday at 3. On Saturday at 3, I get a call from Chet, and Chet's like, okay, I've got some good news for you and some bad news. The bad news is we haven't got your MCU fixed yet because we're waiting on an engineer to be able to connect to the car and look at it, and they've been really slow today. But good news is we replaced your motor. So in 24 hours, they replaced the motor to my car. Yeah, let's see you do that with a nice car, okay? With a nice engine, you're not replacing the engine in 24 hours. It's just not happening. But they replaced my engine, and they said they replaced my engine. They did the annual service. Because they replaced the engine, they had to realign the back end, the wheels anyway, so they're not going to charge me for the realignment. The engine was replaced under warranty, and they hope to get my MCU done by that time at 3. They actually close, service center closes at 3, but they don't actually leave till 6. They actually work till 6. So he said, I'll try to get the MCU done today. If we can, then we'll do that. And if not, I'll call you back. So he calls me back just before 6, and he says, okay, we've got the MCU replaced. So they replaced the MCU too, the whole new piece of hardware in the car. And we got the MCU replaced, but we don't want to give you the car back because we're waiting for it to come back up from its backup, and then we've got to do some other stuff with the other parts of the car. So we really want to not give you your car back yet, give it to you on Monday. But I don't want you to have to drive that rental car, because that's just not right. So if you can come in right now, we'll give you a Tesla. We'll give you a Model S. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way. We're coming in right now. And so we came in. They replaced the rental car with a Model S. Turns out it was a 2013 Model S. And one of the things that was interesting about the 2013 Model S was the turn signal and the cruise control knobs are flipped from where they are in the 2014. So in the 2014, the cruise control, your wipers and all that stuff is up high, and the smaller down low lever is the lever for cruise control and autopilot. But they were switched on the 2013. So I got the 2013 and drove it back to Abilene, but it was kind of weird that those two things were on. It didn't have autopilot. The dash looks different because it doesn't have autopilot, so it doesn't do the autopilot dash. It does a different dash. They called me on Monday. They said, everything's fixed. You can have your car back. And I'm like, okay, I will come get it. So I got back in the Tesla, drove it back to Fort Worth, back to Dallas, got my car. It was all super great. Drove the car back to them. So anyway, I say all this to say the car had problems, but Tesla handled them so incredibly well. I was so impressed with Chet and everybody I met at the service center. They did an incredible job on my car. They did an incredible job of customer service for me. Chet was detailing the Tesla that he gave me Saturday night. Like, they're closed, and this guy is cleaning the car so that I can have the car. And I was just amazed by how well they did that. So if there's anybody from Tesla who watches this video, those guys, they deserve a raise. They deserve kudos. The Farmers Branch Service Center is awesome. And if there's any Texas legislators who's listening to this and going, we need to have them dealerships so that they'll take care of people, that's why we have that law. Well, you guys, you're just wrong, because I've never had that kind of service at a dealer for any car I have ever owned. So Tesla is doing it right, and it needs to be legal to do it right in Texas. That's all I have to say for this video, and I will do something more. I will do a better demo video of the car very soon. Thank you. I'm Ron Davis, the West Texas Tesla owner here in Abilene, Texas.